What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Inside Scoop, the Florida Keys offshore fishing report, Key Largo to Key West every week right here, 30 minutes, legit. We're going to break it down, give you the straight up scoop. Look, I want you to go out there. I want you to be as successful as you can possibly be. Do it the right way, okay? Do it the right way. It's the small details that are going to make a huge difference. And I'll tell you what, right now, in May, end of May, it's more important than ever that you're dialed in because the fishing is on fire. That's the theme right now. That's the key. That's the whole gig. I got to be honest with you. Throughout the entire Keys, offshore is absolutely on fire. We're super excited to share this with you. You know, this is some of the best fishing that a lot of guys have seen down here in years, perhaps decades. You know, it's not uncommon for one fishery to be strong and another one maybe to be weak, but we've got this convergence. We've got this, situation where, let me tell you something, everything from 200 to 2,000 feet is really, really strong. So we're going to talk about them all. Look, the big news, there's no question, is the dolphin fishing. If you're coming down here Memorial Day weekend, today's the 23rd, Friday morning, okay, first of all, you've got some beautiful weather in store. Let's talk about that. 5 to 10 for the next couple of days. You can't ask for any nicer than that. And then Monday, Tuesday, it picks up to 10 to 15. Monday night, here in the Middle Keys, you might see a little bit of 15 to 20, but nothing that should scare you off by any means. But again, this upcoming holiday weekend is just going to be perfect. Little bit of, chance for scattered showers. Just keep an eye on them on the horizon. You could always move, get out of the way if you need to. But other than that, should be perfectly fine. So really, really good news for everyone who's down here or everyone who's traveling to the Keys. Let's get back to the dolphin bite. It's on fire, guys, as I mentioned. 200 to 2,000 feet of water, they're everywhere. And I know I'm saying 200, but look, there's guys, they shop up a yellow bait shop, the yellow bait house up in Key Largo. They do a lot of reef fishing there for snappers, groupers, and they're encountering schoolie dolphin right on the reef in 80 feet of water. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you, but you know what, it could. There's a lot of clean water pushing in. There's a lot of scattered weed. There's a lot of bait around with flying fish, bonitas around, a lot of forage. So it's certainly not uncommon for a school of schoolies to just pop in and say hi. And if you're not ready for them, you're going to blow the opportunity. That's why it's so important. I'm going to stress with you, always have a couple, we always have 4 rigged and ready, but at the very least, 1 or 2 spinning outfits, 15 to 30 pound class spinning outfits, 20 pound monofilament, little 5.0 live bait hook, something you can throw a squid on, you can throw a sardine, a ballyhoo, a chunk, throw it out to the fish and cash in, catch a couple of schoolies right there. So they're going to pop in at all different times and all different places because there are a lot of fish around. So you've got to be ready for them. Don't be that guy who fumbles around. You're going to blow the opportunity, okay? And I'm telling you, one fish can make an entire difference of a whole trip. Imagine a whole school of fish, what that can do. So look for the schoolies on the shallower side, 200 to 600 feet, all up and down the Island Keys chain. All right, we've got guys in Key West. Scott over at Key West Bait and Tackle tells me it's impossible not to catch dolphin right now. I mean, it really is. It's some of the best dolphin fishing that we have seen. But I want to just share a couple things about it. Look, we talked about having the spinning rod rigged and ready. A couple more tips. A school comes up next to the boat. Throw a handful of chunks. Don't throw a line, a baited line with a hook yet. Just throw a handful of chunks. See how they react. Don't overfeed the fish. See how aggressive they are. If they're not touching the chunks, they've been beat up. Okay, stop wasting your time. You're not going to get them to bite. Don't say, oh, I got to scale down my tackle. They're not eating bait with no line. You think they're going to eat 15-pound fluoro or 12-pound fluoro? They're not eating a piece with nothing in it, with no terminal tackle. They're spooked. Okay, they've been beat up. Move on. On the other hand, the fish are aggressive. Don't overfeed them. Throw a few bits in the water at a time just to keep them interested. Keep one hooked. But guys, look, don't get carried away. It's very easy to get carried away when you've got a lot of schoolie dolphin around the boat, 3 or 4 people fishing, flipping fish into the boat. Before you know, you've got 30 schoolies, 40 schoolies, whatever, depending on how many people you have on your boat. Point I'm making is way too many. Okay, nobody needs to keep that many small dolphin. Okay, everybody bitches when there's no dolphin around. They go, oh, it's a terrible season, there's no dolphin. But yet when there are a lot of dolphin around, everybody, not everybody, but certainly some people go out and they overdo it. And you don't need to. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Fresh dolphin is delicious. Frozen dolphin, not so great. You don't have that many friends or family members that you're going to give away 40 fish to. So just, again, don't let your ego get in the way. But the dolphin bite's strong, bigger fish further offshore, bigger baits, okay, bigger lures, a rigged ballyhoo. Last week I was sharing some info about these Zacatec extra smalls, but I got a few comments about the rack, and that's what I wanted to share with you real quick here, okay? Just a quick dolphin tip. This is how I keep my dolphin lures organized. These are Zacatec Extra Small series, and they're on this Dubro lure and leader keeper. It's a track system, okay? It's got these little hooks that hold these little dials, these little plastic dials, okay? Each lure is rigged and ready right on the dial, right there. Rigged and ready to go. And then this simply snaps back in place into one of the empty little keyholes, okay? That's really kind of all it is. You can decide how many of these you want on your track. The tracks come in different sizes. What makes this one really cool is the sea suckers. I added a sea sucker here and a sea sucker here, so now it's totally portable. I could take this out on the Sea Hunter, just squish it, right? The sea suckers right into place, and I've got a rack of lures right where I need it, spares, rigged and ready to go. I'm not fumbling around. I do the same thing with my Wahoo lures, all right, and a lot of other rigs. I'm telling you, that's a win-win right there, the Dubro Lure and Leader Keeper, okay? Because again, it all boils down to organization. That's really what it is. Even on the dolphin grounds, I'm telling you, I don't care how many fish are out there. If you fumble around, if you're not organized, if you've got a rig, you're going to miss out on opportunities, all right? Work together as a team. Get everybody involved. Make sure everybody knows where everything is. On our courses, right at the dock before we leave, I'm explaining every single rod, every position, what it's used for, where it's going to be, where the extra hooks are, what the drag setting is. Go over this stuff, okay? Because I'm telling you, you don't want to miss those great opportunities that don't always come by, every day, so to speak. So preparation is vital. Organization is key. This applies to all offshore fishing. Dolphin fishing, hot topic all weekend. This is what guys are going to be focusing on offshore. A lot of scattered weed, frigates, small birds picking. There's a surprising amount of life offshore. Every trip I've been on over the last week, we've seen dolphin, we've caught dolphin, not even targeting dolphin, but we've encountered frigate birds and other gulls and terns. It's really been exciting. It's an exciting time of the year to fish down here. So if you're really into dolphin fishing, you better get down here now. If you need a charter boat, look, there's a local guy right here in the Keys. I got to do a quick shout out to Epic Days Sport Fishing. These guys are running a 38 Sea Hunter CTS, a cat, brand new, tricked out. Look them up, check them out. They're going to put you on a hot dolphin bite. It's epicdayssf.com. Of course, there's a lot of other boats up and down the Keys chain. If you want to do it on your own, Captain Pip's Boat Rentals right here in Marathon. Hook you up with a 28-foot center console, twin outboards, mention Florida Sport Fishing, 10% off. All right, but either way, the point I'm making is you can do this. You can bring your own boat down, you can rent a boat, or you can charter a boat. In any case, you can get out there and have a great time catching these dolphin this time of the year when the weather is beautiful. So some dolphin tournaments that have gone on. I haven't seen a lot of big fish, but I did see a 38-pounder. I saw fish in the 40s. So remember that at any time, a big one may pop up. And once again, you better be ready for it. And here's another tip. You hook a big dolphin, not on the troll with big heavy trolling gear, but perhaps on a spinning rod, live bait, a squid, whatever it is you throw out, you hook a big dolphin. Slowly, take your time, take your time. That fish is not going to be willing to come to the boat within 3 minutes, okay? Relax. You've got a big fish hooked on that's full of a lot of energy. Let that fish wear itself out. Use the boat as a tool. Close that gap as that fight drags on. Close the gap with the boat. Don't keep the boat in one position and try and big a big, slammer 30, 40, 50-pound dolphin to you. Not going to happen. You've got to close that gap with the boat until you get within gaffing range. The point I'm making, finesse. This is finesse fishing. They're big, they're strong. You've got strong tackle, but exercise a level of finesse with any big dolphin and you'll have a shot at a real trophy. All right, so much more to talk about. The reef bite, also exceptional. Yellowtail snappers, the bigger ones are going to be off the edge of the reef, 80, 90 feet. Look for them somewhere in that area. Down off Key West, that same region, deeper, off the edge is where you're going to see an explosive mutton snapper bite, guys. This is some of the best mutton snapper fishing that a lot of the local captains have seen in many, many years, really. The Lower Keys Bait and Tackle, Donna, the manager over there, literally said to me, word for word, this is the best fishing that I've seen in 5 years. This is coming right from a local tackle shop, all right? That's, has their finger right on the pulse. And we're not talking about one species. So like I said, if dolphin's not your thing, that's good. Get out there on the reef. Great opportunity because you've got a mixed bag with the yellowtails. You've got muttons that's got a spawn going on even in shallower water. You got big mangrove snapper. That bite's picking up right now. All right, live pinfish, fresh ballyhoo for the mangroves. Keep it fresh. 15 to 20 pound spinner, 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, half to 3/4 of an ounce jig head on the bottom. That's going to get you your big mangroves. A lot of guys have other rigs. That's how I like to do it. I fish really early, okay? You'll also have a shot at the bigger muttons. You'll be able to stop them with that same gear. My rod of choice is a Chaos Gold SP 15 to 30 7-foot spinning rod, Shimano Twin Power 8000, 20-pound mono. That's it, 20-pound diamond special clear. I like to keep it as stealthy as possible. And then from there, I may bump up my leader depending on what we're seeing, the size of the fish. Black grouper. Guys, there's still a lot of black grouper around. The season opened May 1st, but guys are like every day going out and catching 2 fish a day. You're allowed 2 fish here. Okay, so there's a lot of black groupers around, big bait right on the bottom, strong tackle. This is no place for that same 15 to 20 pound gear. Here you're absolutely going to have to step it up and you're going to need to fish a little bit deeper than the patch reefs. Once again, 80 to 100 feet. Look under those ledges, or I should say look for ledges, sharp drop-offs. That's where the black groupers are going to be way up underneath there. There's also a lot of quality red grouper around, really big, what we call fire trucks, okay? Really big red groupers. So that's always an exciting catch when you're on the reef. It's an exciting bonus, and that too can happen at any time. So that's the cool thing right now about this reef fishing. Every bait you drop to the bottom, you don't know what's gonna eat it. You don't know, and then there are other surprises. African pompano, always a possibility. There's permit out on the wrecks that typically will eat a shrimp or a crab, but guys have caught permit on jigs, all right? Dropping a jig down, something like a 60, 80 gram jig, and what do you know? A permit slams it. These are aggressive, hungry fish out on the wrecks. They're still out there, and you never know when one might grab a bait. So that's always a possibility. Like I said, African pompano, cobia, another species, blackfin tunas, another one. So sailfish, you just never know what you're going to catch on the reefs and just off the edge of the reef this time of the year. Really, really fun. And that's again, why preparation pays, okay? Because you may have a plan. You may, talk to your buddies and say, hey, let's go out here. Here's what we're going to do. And, here's our plan. But that plan changes like this when something changes. The current's different. The weather's different. The fish that you're targeting aren't there, but a different species make a surprise appearance. You know what I'm saying? So always be ready, guys. And that's really what I want to stress as we continue to build, this inside scoop and this really comprehensive fishing forecast. I want to share all of these small little tips with you. I want you to pick up, read in between the lines, listen to what I'm saying to you. Okay, it's not only about what you can go out and catch this weekend, it's just about advancing your skill set altogether. So you're a more successful angler for every species in every venue at any time of the year, okay? But let's move on, okay? Speaking of the blackfin tunas, the humps, guys, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I have a hard time fishing the humps, I do, you know, and I'll tell you what, I just can't find myself getting in line with 30 other boats out there, you know. Look, there's a rhythm. Understand if you're gonna go out and fish the humps for the blackfin tuna, there's a rhythm as to what's happening. And I need for you to pay attention to it. Don't just pull up to the hump and start fishing. Stay on the outside and observe, look in. You'll see everyone in rotation. Okay, you've got the current flowing in this direction. You're gonna set up shop up here. Okay, you're gonna flow across the entire hump, and back here, you're gonna rotate and get back up in the front of the line. You're not doing this, okay? You're doing this, okay? Certainly you're gonna have guys who are dialed in. They come up here, they start live chumming, they're live chumming, they get back here, they go back up. You're gonna have guys trolling the perimeter of these humps, okay? You guys that are doing that, try not to do this, all right, because you're messing up this. I know that's a lot of crazy movement, but it's the easiest way for me to explain it to you, okay? Because that's really what's happening out there. It's a circus, okay? It's an orchestrated circus, and you've got to really be one of those players, one of those clowns or performers in that circus to make it all work, okay? And I'm not saying clown in a bad way. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying you got to be a team player and understand what's happening out there at the humps. The local charter guys are out there every single day. They're super dialed in. And then you've got some weekend warriors who pop in, you know, one day a year and really don't have much of a clue. That's why I'm sharing with you what's happening here, okay? Get into that rotation. The bigger blackfins are gonna be deeper, but so are the sharks, and that's why those bigger blackfins are harder to land when you're out there at the humps, because the sharks have a better chance of grabbing them. The fish that are smaller, the footballs up on the surface, of course you see a lot more of those because they're easier to land, quicker to get to the boat, less sharks eat them, and they're more abundant, no question. They're a lot of fun on the appropriate spinning tackle, jigging gear, okay? And fresh blackfin tuna, in my opinion, rivals any yellowfin tuna you'll have anywhere, short of catching it yourself. So really an amazing fish, a lot of fun to catch. Bleed them, ice them real well. Couple fish per person, depending on the size. That's going to be perfectly fine to keep you happy with a lot of sashimi over the holiday weekend. Absolutely my wife's favorite fish is blackfin tuna. Look, some of our deep drop courses this week, I'm going to tell you some of the best deep dropping I've ever experienced. We're catching giant tile fish. Just check out the Instagram page. Big groupers mixed in. I have not had a single deep drop course without at least one or two groupers. That's uncommon, okay? So a lot of snowies, a lot of yellow edge grouper around. Every time you drop a bait to the bottom, you don't know what it's gonna result in. Definitely an above average size to the blue line tile fish that we're seeing, okay? Something else that I wanna mention, deep water jigging, all right? I played around a little bit with that this week and went out and did some deep water jigging with power assist reels. Now look, I've done a lot of jig fishing in my life everywhere, and I've done a lot of deep dropping with power assist reels everywhere. But I've combined the two for the very first time, and using a small Daiwa Tanacom 500 or something like that, just a small 500 series power assist reel, 20-pound diamond braid. I can now fish a 400 or 500 gram jig on the bottom in 600 to 800 feet of water and do it effectively for hours and hours and hours without breaking a sweat. You just can't do that manually. So I'm not saying it's for every occasion, but I'm saying don't discount it. And I'll tell you what, while you're out there deep dropping, it's a great change of pace and A lot of fun, so you may want to check that out. But the bottom line is that deep dropping is strong. There's also yellow eye snappers, vermilion snappers in shallower water. 450-ish is where you're going to want to look for those snappers. Queens, always a possibility out by the humps. Most guys will pick off the queens in 800 to 900 feet of water. A little bit more of a specialized type of deep drop fishery that you really got to be dialed into with the correct hook sizes, a little bit thicker so they don't rip a hole in the queen's mouth. You know, a little less hardware on your rig. You're not going to fish that 5-hook typical deep drop rig for the queens, a 2 or 3 hook rig with, you know, no schmeckle on it, none of that glow stuff. Just keep it clean and streamlined with as little metal as possible. That's going to be to your advantage if you're specifically looking for the queen snappers. Sword fishing. Look, I said it last week and I'm going to say it again. We are in the swordfish capital of the world right here. If you want to catch a swordfish, you better get down to the Florida Keys, put in some time, and you will catch a swordfish, or you'll certainly have opportunities. It may be 50, it may be 450, but if you go out there, soak your baits, you're going to catch them, okay? These fish are migrating. It's not X marks the spot. They're only right here. Woods Wall all the way up and down the coast. You know, the guys fishing off Key West or the guys from Key West are not running to Islamorada. The guys in Marathon are not running to Key Largo. We fish typically our local offshore waters, and there's fish being caught all up and down the line. It's a great time of the year to swordfish. Be careful for those smaller boaters. I'm going to tell you, some of the weather lately has been a little bit kind of tricky where the forecast is 10 to 15, 2 to 3 foot seas, you know, no big deal, easy. And then, you know, you get 20 miles offshore and that's colliding with a 15 knot easterly breeze is colliding with the Gulf Stream current. And suddenly you find yourself in this wash machine of 4 to 6 footers, you know, that are just breaking in every direction and not what you expected. And it happens like that. So just keep a close eye on things, okay? Always take safety, make it your #1 priority. And just understand that what that forecast is and what you're expecting near shore might not be what you're handed way offshore, okay? Right now, we've got this nice pattern of quiet, calm weather. I don't suspect you're going to have any issues whatsoever in the coming days. Again, I just wanted to share that with you if you are thinking about heading out there, okay? So look, a lot of options. What would I do? What would I do this weekend? Or what am I going to do? Not what am I going to do? I've got a trip tomorrow with some family and friends. We're dolphin fishing, guys. There's no question. We're going to start the day dolphin fishing. I'm going to look for the birds, the weeds. That's the hot ticket. You know, catch a few schoolies for these guys, and I'll tell you what, they're just going to have the time of their lives. And like I said, there's a lot of fish around. Small lures, feathers, little chuggers, the extra smalls, the Zacatacks are great baits. Ballyhoo, rig ballyhoo. Come on, guys. These are staples, right? I can't tell you how easy, but there's some other lures, you know, that really work well down here in the Keys, you know, that you can only get at some of the local tackle shops. Some black rubber worms, the eels, they call them. They're real effective, especially for the tunas around the humps. You wonder why that fish would even eat that thing, but from the bottom, it just looks like a little ballyhoo or something racing across the surface. I don't think that he's thinking he's eating an eel. It's more about the profile and it's paddling and escaping. Anything with mylar, shiny, right, is, of course, going to attract attention. So keep that in mind. Don't go crazy with the size of the baits that you're pulling. This is no place for 12 to 16-inch lures that you would pull in the Bahamas or, you know, Costa Rica or whatever. That's not what this is about right here. This is really more about smaller baits. They're primarily feeding on smaller baits, so it just matches the hatch. Surprisingly, I also want to mention sail fishing. There's been a lot of sailfish around. It's late May, and there's sailfish around. It's strong. If you go out there and try and target these things, you're probably going to catch them, okay? And you wouldn't think that you would see any, but there are still quite a few around. There's guys out here who are fishing the edge. You know, when I say the edge, 150 to 300 foot, and sometimes they'll even a little bit shallower. We'll say 100 to 250 in that real range right there. and their sailfish cruising up and down the line will pick off a live bait at any time. So that's kind of cool, right? Just another great species, or another great, option to throw in the mix. I think that's the biggest problem down here is what do I fish for? What do I do today? Where do I go? A lot of that should be driven by conditions. It should be driven by your capabilities, your desires. I find that the evolution of fishing, right, is first you want to catch as much as you can, however it is that you catch it, wherever you catch it, you don't care. You just want to catch fish, which is cool. That's where it starts. But then it continues to evolve all the way to the point of I want to catch that particular species and I want to catch it this particular way using this particular piece of tackle. I'm going to kind of revert back to the power assist jigging for a second. So we went out, spent a little time trying to get this dialed in and caught a really nice blackfin tuna. Right? We're targeting the tunas, deep water. So we catch this blackfin tuna on a jig, 700 plus feet down, right off the bottom, using this power assist tackle. Look, that one blackfin tuna was more rewarding to me than catching 20 out on the hump on live pilchards, okay? Bottom line, because it was a very targeted catch. It was very challenging, very targeted, and it was more about achieving that goal than it was about abundance or about quantity, So that's that evolution of fishing. So you have to ask yourself, where are you in that lineup and what's important to you? Should you mix it up? And there's another, big question, right? Like, do I go reef fishing and then dolphin fishing? Do I go deep dropping and then, reef fishing? Like, what do you do? Well, I like to say that you should absolutely always have a plan B and a plan C in place. No question. Don't go out there single-mindedly thinking that what you want to happen is going to happen, because it may not. So always prepare for the unexpected, okay? Always prepare for 2 or 3 different types of fisheries. And then based on the conditions, you can decide what makes the most sense. Once again, tomorrow we're gonna go dolphin fishing. I'm gonna start early. I know there's gonna be a lot of boats out on the edge, okay? A lot of boats deeper offshore looking for dolphin. It's a holiday weekend. The weather's beautiful. The dolphin bite is on fire. What do you think it's gonna be like out there? If you've ever seen the Florida Keys, look like a parking lot out on the water, this weekend may very well be it out on the dolphin grounds. But fortunately, there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of area to fish, and you'll have an opportunity to catch yours as well, just like I will. But I'm gonna start early doing that, and then depending on what happens, at some point I'm gonna transition, come in, do some deep dropping, maybe pick off a beautiful grouper or a couple of tile fish. Those fish are not pressured as much during holiday weekends or any weekends. And when doing so, the dolphin may appear anyway, which, like I said, we've always have some spinning rods rigged and ready to go. So look, there it is. Key Largo to Key West, just as a recap, your hot button is gonna be dolphin anywhere, just start looking for them. The reef bite, excellent, with mixed snappers all over the reef. Key West further down, and especially the guys headed out to the dry Tortugas, the mutton snapper bite and the red grouper, both are gonna be in your crosshairs, okay? That's your ticket. At any time, anywhere else, cobias, blackfin tuna, king mackerel, sailfish, African pompano, permit on the wrecks, all kinds of great stuff going on. Don't tell me you don't know what to fish for or anything like that. And once again, this is an offshore fishing report. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep them all live in a playlist on our YouTube channel. I'm gonna keep them all on a playlist on Florida Sport Fishing TV Plus. Okay, we're gonna continue to build on these. I wanna reiterate and stress, we're here to help you. If you need more information, you wanna get dialed in on a particular topic, or consider one of our hands-on fishing courses, so many different things that we can help you with. Talk to you about our fishing retreat that we're building, and soon the launch of Captain Mike Genoun's Offshore Fishing Academy. This is a lifelong dream about to come true. So we're always here, support at fsftv.com. There's no question that's stupid, all right? Honestly, I hate to say it any other way, but from the fundamentals to the advanced tactics, we're here, okay? We're here to help you out. So support at fsftv.com. Have a wonderful and safe holiday weekend. Get out there. Don't get carried away. Be conservation minded, okay? Make good decisions out on the water. Be careful. Don't drink and boat. All right, don't get behind the wheel of that boat drinking. There's a lot of crazies out there nowadays, and crazy stuff happens, and careless people. There's some people I can't even believe they sell a boat to. But it gets worse. There's debris in the water. There's swimmers. There's divers. There's snorkelers. Also wildlife. All sorts of obstructions. So keep your eyes open. Be smart. All right, and I'm going to see you out on the water. Get hooked up, and I'm already looking forward to next week's Inside Scoop.